Hey everyone, welcome back to Two Rivers Tabac Book Club. Today we're continuing with Stephen King's Dark Tower series, book 6, Song of Susannah. I was like, almost said
You had to
7.
think.
I was like, nah, 6. One more book. One more book to go. Um, yeah, so we're going to talk about book 6. We are going to talk about the whole book in this video. It's a fairly short book. And as we say with like all the other episodes, this is a spoil. There are spoilers in here. We do treat this as if it was a real book club, as if we all were assigned a portion of a book or a book in general, and then like we come back and actually talk about it. So we are going to talk about spoilers. Josh and I, we tend to just mainly talk about things that interest us. We're not going to necessarily talk about every single detail, but if there is something you want us to talk about in a future episode, you can just let us know and we can definitely try to fit it in. And I forgot to say my name, but I'm Andrew, joined by my co-host,
Hello.
Josh.
That is I. Hello.
That's what they come for, the 10 out of 10 intro. Let's go.
Honestly, then they click off the video.
Yep.
I mean, I would too. I mean, Jesus.
God, it's truly a train wreck.
Blame the mono.
Yeah. But
Cool.
yeah, we can go ahead and get started here. So like the first scene, we're coming right off of Wolves of the Kala, and them being in that cave, trying to go through the portal, and they end up being able to go through the portal, but they get transported, to different wheres and wins, depending on which group.
Yeah. So, but before they all like transport and they're all talking, it kind of like sets up like what everyone's thinking. Like, obviously, like Callahan's freaking out because he's like, I am not a random.
I'm not a character, yeah.
I'm not a fictional character. I'm a real boy.
Yeah, and this is where like
And,
your predictions of it becoming really meta like come to fruition for sure.
Oh yeah, because then Roland's like, okay, we pursue the Dark Tower regardless. We get the vacant lot, and then Eddie's like, we gotta save Susannah, and then what is really Jake's? I don't really feel like he has like a main motivation type thing. It's mostly just like kind of like Roland's like and Eddie, like more like Roland and Eddie's combined, like pursue the Dark Tower, save Susannah, and bring Oi with them, and then that's kind of like what I got from Jake.
Yeah, because like obviously we know Roland's always gonna care about the Dark Tower no matter what. He's done so many things to get there, and then obviously Eddie is married to Susannah at this point, so obviously he's gonna do anything he can to save Susannah. So like they're both working toward their related goals, right? Susannah and the Dark Tower are obviously related at this point, but yeah, Jake kind of has like a mixture because he's not really like obviously he cares about both, so.
Yeah, and then Susannah just wants to have the baby,
Yeah.
or Mia,
Mia.
Mia.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm did you have anything else to kind of talk about before I kind of talk about what I was going to say?
yeah, you're good. I kind of just wanted to start off like, this is where we are. They didn't know if they could bring Oi or guns or anything,
Yeah.
so Jake was gonna have Oi stay behind. It was really sad, and then
That was
out of
so
nowhere, everyone
sad.
just gets sucked in.
Yeah.
It was. I was actually kind of sad. I was like, no, you can't. Oi's a part of the gang. You can't just leave him.
Yeah.
So,
I don't want him to die,
yeah, he ends
but
up coming.
yeah.
You want him to die?
I don't want him to die. So I was like if he stays in the cave, maybe he won't die, but like it's lame to not bring him.
Yeah. So, but it worked. The guns crossed over. Oh yeah, I guess they had to use Jake's power, the touch, the shining,
Yes.
to get through because Susannah took the bad 13
Yep.
or whatever, dark 13,
Black 13. Which
black, yeah.
I don't
Whatever.
know. Stop me if I mentioned this in the last video that we talked about this, but like Black 13 reminds me exactly of like the Palantir from Lord of the Rings, like the one where when Pippin grabs it like in the tent with Gandalf and like Sauron can see him.
Yeah.
And it's like a direct extension of Sauron's abilities. It reminds me a lot of that. So
That's kind of exactly what I've been thinking of too, because that reminded me of back in like book 4 when we went the pink thing, the pink orb ball
yeah,
that they had. I kind of saw that as that too, and so that's also how I see Black 13, except Black 13 is like more evil, like yeah, like more like
yeah,
Sauron
the
esque.
worst one.
Because isn't it like it's like well, obviously it's black, but I don't know why I think of like a black ball with like red swirls.
Yep, exactly like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember if it was in this book or later in Wolves of the Kala, but there was that section where Eddie was like reminiscing on his relationship with his brother, and his brother obviously was just a complete asshole, but like how Eddie was like super into Lord of the Rings and like loved reading the books and stuff, and like his older brother would always be like, "Oh, are you reading about the Elvesies?"
Yeah.
Complete
Yeah.
fucking asshole, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember that part. I love that part because every time, like, because I love Lord of the Rings, and so when I see Lord of the Rings get the love it deserves, and Stephen King has said before the Dark Tower series is like his Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
right? So, and you can't be inspired by Lord of the Rings and not have like, and if you're gonna go meta, then you might as well be like Tolkien's Lord of the Rings series,
Yeah.
and and when like. I'm assuming every character Stephen King like writes or makes has to come from somewhere within him, right? So like with Eddie, like this is just showing like his love for Lord of the Rings that he's showing through Eddie, and it's like I don't care like if people think it's nerdy or what, like I love it, and so
Yeah.
fuck you guys.
Yeah. It also kind of reminds me though, like even when we were younger, I felt like being a nerd was like not mainstream at all, and like there were Henrys everywhere who'd be like, "Oh, you're reading about the fucking stupid ass hobbits," you know? But like nowadays, even like anime is in mainstream, you know? Like there's
Yeah.
lots of celebrities who watch anime and like even talk about ones they like, and it's a lot different. It's
Yeah,
better,
well,
it's good, but
I didn't know that many people who didn't like Lord of the Rings. Now the only person I knew who read the books when we were growing up was you, because like I didn't read them until last year, but you were the only one person I knew who read them. But I didn't know a whole lot of people who didn't like the movies uh until recently. Actually, there's like so it was a lot of people in like the older generation, like are close to the like 50s ish, late 40s, early 50s, this
yeah.
kind of people. But I get, every age has it. I'm just saying those were how old the people were who I'd met who didn't like the movies or haven't seen them.
Yep.
So I was like,
And that's kind of who I was
some people just don't
referring
like
to.
fantasy.
Yeah. No, yeah, and some people don't like fantasy, which is
Yeah.
sucks to be you. So
Yeah, right. Fantasy is literally the freedom genre.
do whatever you want.
You can literally do anything, and it doesn't even have to make sense.
You can have Father Callahan be a fictional character and also be real.
You can make him a Catholic, but also give him gay tendencies.
Yeah.
Complete fantasy.
His character is hilarious.
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
yeah.
I was thinking, so like after obviously they go through the door, and then we have this scene like Susannah's obviously like constantly battling Mia in her brain, and it just goes back to like what I've said in other books where like Susannah just never catches a break, man. She's always just like in turmoil constantly. But in the same section we're gonna have the insane reveal. I don't want to get into it yet unless you wanted to say something before we talk about that.
Yeah, if you want, would it be easier if we kind of just split, like when we talked about this, if we would just talked about like Susannah's whole thing and then go to like Roland's whole thing, Roland and Eddie's, and then like Jake and Callahan's?
Yeah.
Because they're all basically separate. Like they don't interact with each other at all, besides for like Susannah and Eddie talking through, I'm assuming either prayer, Toadash, or or The Shining.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if they even have it, but like, yeah. So if you want to if we could just do that way, it's just easier.
Okay. Let's start with.
So we don't have to keep jumping around.
Yeah, we can, because there's pretty much like the 3 sections. Yeah, like we're like Susannah, Father Callahan, Oy, Jake, and then Eddie and Roland. But I'll talk about Susannah first, just because like I want to talk about this insane reveal where just like only Stephen King would think of how to create this situation. Maybe like I know you read Berserk, so like maybe that guy can make this up too. But like, man, like, so the thing we always joke about with Roland fucking that demon in book 1 caused Susannah to ultimately get pregnant. And it's like hilarious too to me, because like obviously he was getting seduced by the demon, and for the first part of that seduction he was like, nah, I'm not gonna fuck this demon, dude, I'm not gonna do it. And then like he's like, fuck it, I'll do it. Right. So if he just wouldn't have done that, then none of this would have happened.
But if he didn't do it, then he wouldn't have gotten the chance to throw Jake off a ledge, because the succubus would have killed him, would have seduced him, and then fucked him to death.
Yeah. And then and then Susannah would have fucking Jake's child or something. And then...
Yeah. She would have. Oh my god.
He'd probably do some fuck shit like that.
Right. It's so that whole thing with Mia, right, where it's like
it was crazy. It could totally. I did not expect it at all.
I didn't see it coming, because I never thought of it, because I was just like,
nobody would really think of
that. Yeah. It was so like Mia made a deal with Randall Flagg to become immortal so she can have a baby, a chap.
Yeah.
You might say. So but it's like, so the demon that Roland banged was a different demon. So that demon took in his seed, kept it alive somehow, and thriving. And then they put it in another demon, and then, or was it the same demon? It just switched.
Yeah, because I thought they said it switched sexes, but then later on Mia was like, no, that's a lie. And I think it is what you were saying, like they gave it to another demon somehow, and then shot it into Susannah. So,
it's interesting, because even in book 1, like before Roland fucks the demon, there's like a part where Roland's at that village, right, and he's like, where'd the dark man go? And he's talking to like the pregnant lady, and he sticks his revolver up her woo-wah, hooey, and is like, he's like, you either tell me where he goes, or I'm blowing your demon baby to shit. And like the way she was acting, like, would be like anyone would act like that, but that woman reminded me a lot of how Mia is acting in this book.
Yeah.
You know, very, very like, do anything for my chap, don't kill it. She's like, it's not a demon. Yeah, it's just a demon.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's so, and you know, Stephen King, you know, as he's writing these books, he doesn't know until he writes it, right? That's why like it took 40 years for him to finish it. So it's like these plots that were set up in the first book had time to fester and grow into a bigger foreshadowing or plot later that he may not have even thought of. Yeah,
seriously. So. And like he was able to like relate it back to the first book of that one event happening, kind of creating this crescendo of events, if you will. But it's always like, and I think Stephen King mentions this at the end of the book when he's like talking about when we'll get to that with like his diary and stuff, where like when you add pregnancy to any kind of like conflict or like difficult situation, it just ups the ante and like makes it more difficult and like intense. I feel like, and especially with it being like a demon baby, like it's like kind of the same. I don't know why, but it makes me think of like the original Alien movie, where like the idea that you have this foreign demon monster thing that's growing inside you, just like at a human level, just makes you like ill. But,
Yeah.
and also it being like your friend. So
Yeah.
he was able to
Right, 'cause,
combine
like,
many things that are not good together well. So
they find out it's not Eddie's, it's a demon's, and Eddie's like, okay, whatever, I can accept that. Can he accept that it's actually Roland's?
yeah, when we get to that reveal, if Susanna survives and shit, or like, I mean, I guess even if Susanna dies, he's gonna find out that it's fucking
That's
Roland's.
Roland's.
But yeah, it's crazy.
What did you overall with the Susanna, Mia, and what's Odetta?
Hmm.
Yeah. So what did you think of all their whole dynamic through Susanna's Susanna's part of the story?
Susanna, Odetta, Mia, 500 personalities. Yeah, no,
Right.
I liked that like Detta came back and is like a force in her brain too, like the dark, deep, dark, like angry part of her personality that was like there in the second book. Um, I thought it was cool that they brought that back because it's like there's no way like Mia can just get into her brain and like that dark part of Susanna's personality not come out to try to like protect herself, I guess. So,
Yeah.
what do you think about it?
That was hilarious.
Yes, that too.
It's because it's like, so they'll like just be having a conversation. Susanna's kind of annoyed and Mia's on the defensive, and then Odetta comes out and is like, "Oh, you bitch!" Like, you know.
Also, her like
It's
having
super funny.
like white legs is kind of funny. Just like the idea
Yeah.
of that, like her walking around like that, and then like
Yeah.
Mia just freaking out over like the most minuscule interactions, like just paying somebody or like doing anything.
Yeah. Just give him $10. What's that?
Which one is it?
It's like, it's funny because it's like Mia, it's like talking to a kid, or it's like
Yeah.
trying to explain something so obvious to you that isn't obvious to her. It's like if I went to India and used whatever, I don't even know what their currency looks like, if I'm gonna be honest.
God,
So it's like I went over there, and then they're like 5 schmeckles, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? So it's funny because I can, like, the more I think about it, the more I can relate being completely engulfed in a reality, in a situation that you know absolutely nothing about.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's like completely foreign to her. I mean, relating to that, like we can talk about how like she described her life before doing the deal with the Crimson King to have
Oh
this
my
child.
God,
She's
yeah.
like, yeah, I just wander, and she's like, you know, this gorgeous succubus. She's like, oh, I just wander around, like anybody who can fuck me, I just fuck them until they die, and like at the end of it too, I'd like make them think they were like fucking their mom and shit,
Yeah.
like just horrify them.
Yeah, I was just like,
All right.
damn, do you even deserve a chap?
Yeah. Right.
That was pretty funny. And they went. Susanna went toe dash a lot. Like,
Yeah.
they brought her into that one reality that's like borderline next to the Dark Tower. But it was all fucked up. Like, it was like a castle in the background and demons everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I just imagined in my head like a really dark area with like some light, very dusty, and then like a castle in the background, and not really much of description, more just dark. And then Mia's just there naked, and then for some reason, like she was in the book,
Yeah.
Susanna's just like, put some clothes on, or whatever she said to her.
Yeah, and Stephen King had a very detailed description of her body.
Oh yeah, every time. Hey! At least it wasn't a penis this time.
True. Honestly,
Hey, I don't think
this might be the first time he's like really described not male genitalia. So.
But there was one.
There was one.
But
yes.
There was, and he described a little baby boy pecker. And because I don't give a fuck who you are. There's, in a Stephen King book, there is always a penis reference.
Yes.
You just gotta look hard enough to find it.
Sometimes it's really overt, sometimes it's subtle. It's there, though.
And it's always there. And so this book, like, to be honest, I completely like just forgot about that aspect of like Stephen King, so it's like whatever. And then out of nowhere, like, it's just normal giving birth to a baby, or like talking about the baby.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I see, it's like little wiener, like just like, god damn it.
It's just incredible.
So yeah, so you listen to this book club for grade A commentary.
Yeah.
It's but anyway, it's funny. And for anyone who thinks I might be being too mean, it's all in good fun.
Yeah,
I like
we love
books.
Yeah, we love the books and stuff. It's just funny.
Yeah. So overall the whole dynamic with them was great. One of my favorite scenes was after they hid Black 13 in the safe in the room at the hotel. Mia's waiting on a call, they're talking a bit, and then the guy calls, and Mia answers it, and then Odetta pops into the call and starts talking shit, and then Mia like forces her back, and then the guy's like, you better not let that happen again. Do you want to raise your chop?
Right.
And she's like, yes, sir. And I was like, so it's like those little scenes throughout. I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then Susanna getting the message from Eddie to stall her, and then they go into the bathroom and go toe dash for a while. Oh my god, what did you think of that scene when Mia was in control, and then all the Japanese tourists were trying to get a picture with her?
Yeah. Did he describe them as bird language or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was so damn funny.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the voice. Who does the audio? He's really good. He was cracking me up.
Yeah, he does a good job.
It's like Mia's just walking, trying to get a new shirt because there's like a blood stain on it, and there's like these Japanese people come up, and literally like the audio book is just like, oh, can you take a picture for me? Oh, here's the camera. And then Mia is like just freaking out because she's like, oh, are they gonna trap me in this flash?
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. She's like terrified of literally everything. She's like, Susanna, help me. And Susanna's pissed. She's not helping her. And so can you imagine all these tourists, like these Japanese tourists, are just seeing this lady trying to ask for a picture. Literally everyone does it everywhere. It's common literally in society in general. People ask other people to take pictures of them with other people. And so I just find this situation that happens in every culture, everywhere around the world. But to have like a situation so commonplace, but then have someone not understand it and just freak out.
Yeah.
And it's even better with them not like speaking, like, because the way they speak their English with it was just cracking me up the whole time.
It was really good.
I was like, god damn it. It was a great scene. And it was hilarious.
Yeah, she, like you said, she's like basically a child. Mia is.
Yeah. Good. Ah. Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts.
That was pretty good.
Of her shit.
I guess.
Well, what other scenes did you like? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. I was.
I was just asking you what else you liked
Yeah.
from Susanna's section.
I think that's all I was kind of thinking about right now. But I guess we can talk about like the actual final scene. I guess later after we talk about Jake and Roland too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean that was at the end of the book, so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
might as well get through everyone's.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Oh wait, we didn't talk about the turtle.
Oh yeah, the turtle. Yeah.
The turtle is very very important. So yeah, so Susanna, as you know, pulls the turtle out, and it can like hypnotize people to get her to do what she wants. Now, things. This is like one of those bags that shit just keeps randomly popping in, and so because I can't remember, did they get the turtle from anywhere else, or did it just?
I'm trying to remember where they
appear?
Got it.
Yeah, because I think it just appears in the back.
Yeah. And Jake had an object similar to it previously where he was able to like hypnotize people basically with it.
Yeah, I think this is Stephen King's way of also being meta to where he at this point when writing the book, not like him in the book, like him physically writing the book, knows how meta it's going to be, so he's basically like, okay, so they have this problem, and since the story is already meta and we know I'm writing it, what can I do to make it easier so these characters can continue on with the story and accomplish their goals.
Yeah.
And so he gives them the turtle, or like with Jake later on we'll talk about, where he gives him the key. So it's like the subtle things like that shows that Stephen King may not know where the story's going to end, but now that he's gone a little meta in situations that he might not think of other things to do, he can just be like, oh, it just appeared in the bag and this should help them.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And it
doesn't feel like bullshit.
No, I don't think so. Plus, like, I mean, it's a related object to like what Jake was able to do earlier on in the series, so it's like consistent with like the items available in this universe, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
so, and then she threw the turtle away in the gutter before entering the pig's den or whatever it's called.
It's kind of like those scenes in movies where like somebody drops like a pendant or something like that to kind of like indicate where they are.
Yeah, she's like, "Call will handle it."
Yeah.
And then from then on, we can move on. I mean, that's really the thing I needed to mention with Susanna.
Yeah. So I guess we can talk about Jake, Oy, and Father Callahan. Obviously, each group gets sent to like a different area. But Jake, Oy, and Callahan are still kind of trying to follow Susanna's trail in New York City. And they get possession of Black 13. But like you said earlier, they like hide it. And then I thought it was kind of interesting that it was implied that it like gets destroyed during 9/11. So
yeah,
I thought there would be more significance to it, like more shit would happen with it instead of it just being destroyed later on. So I was a little disappointed by that, unless like maybe it will resurface before it gets destroyed or something. But like it sounds like they just hit it and it's gonna just die later. But I thought maybe it would serve more of a purpose later on.
Yeah, I thought so too. But with one book left,
yeah,
I don't know what more it could do. But
yeah.
but I do agree. I was kind of a little disappointed too with it, because but I did like how they obtained it, because we got a hint of like, you know, Stephen King is like left something for Jake, a key card, and left a funny little riddle saying or a rhyme or whatever. And then when they're approaching Black 13, you have Jake, this little boy. He's a gunslinger. He's scared, but he's going through with it anyway.
Yeah.
To get the orb, and Callahan's like, I'm not a gunslinger, and I'm afraid I can't do it. But this little boy can do it. But he's a gunslinger. He's Roland's son. But that's no excuse. He's still a boy. If he can do it, I can do it. Yeah. So I really liked showing those aspects of both Jake and Callahan to see where they are mentally and like how they're dealing with this fear. So that was really cool for me, at least. And then, but yeah, I don't exactly know how I feel about the dealing with the ball at the end, because so the book was written in like 2004, so it was fairly recent after 9/11.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we were like children. Like I was like 4, yeah, I think, when 9/11 happened. So it was like, I couldn't even imagine like it being like a real touchy subject in 2004, and then not saying King shouldn't have put it in the book. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying it's like interesting to see how it's written into the story.
Yeah.
Because even in 2023, I still, like, when I hear about Twin Towers, I still like feel the impact.
Yeah, it's still a
significant
the emotion of it. Event.
Yeah. And so for it to be referenced in a book, 'cause I feel like it's like one of those things that's like, oh, it's only really ever talked about either super seriously or we recognize it again on 9/11. But in this book, it barely even touches on it. But because of the event, every time it's mentioned, at least for me, it automatically grabs my attention, and I can I just feel the emotion with it.
Yeah,
I guess.
Well,
I don't really know how else to approach it.
It's almost like that, like Stephen King's take on like society from like his fantasy world perspective. Because like, what did he say about like vampires like causing all disease or something like that, or was it AIDS?
HIV.
Yeah, like they were causing all AIDS. And it's almost like this Black 13 orb attracted the 9/11 attacks. Like it attracted that evil to be caused.
Yeah.
But I did want to talk about yeah, like what you were talking about a little bit as I rewind a little bit, but with like Father Callahan and like Jake's like interactions where like Callahan is like basically following Jake around even though Jake's like a child, like he's the gunslinger, so Callahan is like deferring to him to like let him make the decisions because Jake is. So it's just a funny dynamic in my brain, and like when I was imagining this old priest, vampire slayer guy, archetype type person, like just following around Jake and Oi, and then like people questioning is like, is that a dog? And it's like, yeah, and they're like, is that really a dog? It's like, no.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Yeah. Like my favorite part was at the beginning where like the taxi guy, and of course he's an Indian dude.
Yeah.
But he almost runs over Oi, and he's like go get, like the voice actor. He's just like, well, get out of the way, or however he does the accent. I'm not very good at it, but then like. Jake just pulls his fucking gun out and goes ape shit, and he's like shaking too. So he's not obviously Jake's a gunslinger, but he doesn't have the maturity that Roland had as a gunslinger because they were both raised completely different. Roland was raised from the ground up as a gunslinger. Jake was brought into it at a later age, kind of like how when Anakin Skywalker was brought into the Jedi Order as a older kid. He didn't grow up from the ground up able to suppress his emotions because he was already had those attachments.
Yeah.
So that's which made him more vulnerable to those attachments and later on.
I do sympathize with him though, just because obviously we're coming right off of Wolves of the Cala where like his friend gets blown up in front of him basically, and then right after that he's like the only hope of saving his good friend who's about to have a demon baby. So it's like there's a lot of pressure, obviously. But
Yeah. And then like always like one of his last like, because yeah, he's equal to them all as a gunslinger, I guess, but there's always still that undertone of like he's still a boy, and kids need friends, they need peers, and he kind of has peers, but it's more like work related peers rather than like how me and you are like friends. Uh, so and Oi is now like that last bit he has left after what he witnessed, yeah, like you said in the last book. So I don't blame him at all for getting like that upset over it, but definitely shouldn't point guns at people and
it's like that
like
nightmare road rage situation where like if you flip some guy off like in your car and then that guy just loses his mind because he's already half cocked and he's like gonna kill you. It's like
yeah.
you see those stories like on the news, like one guy flipped another guy off, then the other guy like chased him all the way to his house and shot him in his driveway. It's like, oh my god. It's like Jesus.
Like how shit does your life have to be going for you to do that? And so Jake, yeah. I mean, yeah. He probably would have shot him too.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. He would have killed him.
Yeah, without
I mean, if Eddie was willing to kill the women and the children too, then
and repeat it multiple times that he is definitely gonna do that.
Yeah, even with Callahan's like, are you sure you're gonna do that? Like you were just bluffing, and he's like, just like what? And Callahan's like, interesting. But the Jake Callahan dynamic was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Especially like when, so it's like everyone in this book besides like Roland thinks they're probably gonna die at some point. Like we got it with Susannah. She thought she was gonna die. She's like, just gotta let Ka do its thing, do what you gotta do, type of thing. And then Jake and Callahan at the end of their whole segment were basically like, yeah, we're probably gonna die, but we should get far enough in so that Roland should be able to finish it off.
Right, it'll buy enough time. But yeah, they're kind of accepting that they're gonna sacrifice themselves for Susannah at this point.
Yeah, and it's an interesting concept, like of you knowing you're probably going to die, and so what are you thinking? What are you thinking in that situation?
Yeah.
That you're choosing to, you can't choose not to. If you don't do it, then it's always going to weigh on you. Mm-hmm. But if you do it, then you're not going to come out of it. And so we got to see like Callahan and Jake and like those characters like come to the reality that they may die for good. And these are two characters who have already died before.
Yes, exactly.
And they know that this time there's no coming back.
Right.
And they're gonna go through it anyway. And I think, I don't. Obviously, it's a fictional story. You can make them do whatever you want, but like in real life, there's not too many people, I think, out there who would know that they're going to die if they, like, let's say like there's a house burning down, right? And you have like a friend in there or something who's stuck, but if you go in there, you're probably going to die if you try to save him. How many people are going to go in there?
Yeah, probably not many.
Not many, I would think. Which is, I don't know, it's a tough moral dilemma, because it's like on one hand it's your life over another, and the odds are stacked against it. So for like a survival mode, it's like, well, what do? Do you go in there and possibly have both you die? Right. Or do you stay out and wait for professionals to go in there? So that's kind of like with this. Does Jake wait for Roland? Do you wait for the firefighters, the professionals to get there to help? But if they don't get there in time, you have to do something, or else your decision's going to weigh on you for the rest of your life. If they don't go in, Susannah's going to die.
Yeah.
So it's, and then Callahan asked Jake, because he's Catholic, he's like, even if you don't believe, do you want your sins forgiven or like, and all this stuff? And Jake's like, yeah, fuck it, sure, let's go. But so like that whole scene, before they find the turtle, where they're just like, "Oh, here's some hope. We might live after all."
Right.
Like right after that whole dilemma, that whole scene, they're like, "Oh, never mind. We'll probably live. We got this turtle."
Yeah, they have their deliberation of their death, and they're like, "All right, let's just go die," and then they're like, "Oh, we might not."
Yeah, I was just laughing. That was so funny. So. I know that was a pretty long spit talk there, but like, what'd you think about that scene?
Yeah, no, it's commendable that they're willing to like do that. Of course, like we've talked about, it's been reiterated throughout this series, like how strong their Kotzhead is and like how much they care for each other and stuff and their family. So, it's commendable that they're gonna do it. You also think about it from their characters' perspective. Both of them are very like tragic characters. Obviously, Susannah has a pretty difficult life as well. I mean, all of them do. But you like think about Jake; he's already died. He's seen a lot of things for being like a child. His life already kind of sucks. And then Callahan, similarly, like just was an alcoholic, had to fight all these vampires, and spent a lot of his days like roaming around, evading vampires, and then ultimately dying as well, and then coming back and having to fucking live in Midworld and deal with all this shit in Midworld. So they're both already kind of tragic characters. So yeah, it makes you just kind of sympathize with them more. And it makes you kind of like start to really feel that this is the second to last book, right? Like obviously we knew Susannah's gonna have the baby because we need that conflict and climax, if you will.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Dude.
Are you Stephen King?
I am. But like when especially when Jake and Callahan are like, yeah, we might probably just die here. It really makes you feel like, all right, we're really in the final crescendo, and really any of these characters could die now. So yeah, just getting ready. Emotionally preparing myself, because I really, you invest yourself in the series and you enjoy the series and you enjoy the characters, but there's got to be an ending and people are gonna die because it's Stephen King.
Oh yeah, guess we'll see.
Yeah.
So that was basically Jake and Callahan's adventure. Yeah. I didn't really go into like whole lots of detail there. There's not really too much to. Yeah. So is that, do you have anything else to add on their whole story?
No, we can switch gears to Roland and Eddie.
Cool. So theirs is, in my opinion, the most exciting out of all three of them.
Agreed.
All three stories, and it's just because of you get a cool action scene of Roland and Eddie fighting off the mafia, looking for Tower. Making a new friend along the way who likes baseball. And I think Stephen King must love baseball, because every time they talk about baseball, I have no fucking idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, I've read he's a huge Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
Boston.
Like I know how to play baseball. I've never played it. Obviously I've from Kansas. I've been to plenty of Royals games, and they've lost every single goddamn game I've ever been to. So even the ones last year when they faced the Diamondbacks, when they're supposed to be fucking good, because I moved to Arizona and I went to the game, we had pretty good seats too. Like we were like right next to the field, right? And they fucking lost. God damn.
Yeah, we won that. We won the World Series in 2015, and then after that, it's just been kind of yikes.
I'm just so sick of the fucking Royals. Like as a kid, my dad and my stepmom take me to the Royals games, and we go to them all the time as a kid. Yeah. Lost every single fucking game, so ruined baseball for me.
Yeah,
could never get into it. And then they win the World Series, everyone goes ape shit, right? Kansas City's going crazy. I'm like, you all are on the fucking bandwagon. I don't forgive them. They scarred me. And so,
I like cannot watch baseball on TV, man. I just can't. It's too boring. I love basketball. I love football, and I even enjoy watching soccer. But like, I can't watch baseball, man. Like, I love being at the game. Like, going to a baseball game is fun, but like watching on TV, I want to die.
yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's it's hard to. I like going to football games. It's too bad I never remember them because we're always getting shit faced.
Part of the experience.
every time. But I don't go to football games often. It was only the Chiefs were playing against what's the Arizona team? The
Cardinals. Yeah.
They fucking suck, dude. The Cardinals. I remember that game was awesome.
That was a lot of fun.
That was last year, right?
Yeah, it was last year. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I guess the book club's gonna real quick.
Yeah.
It's just Chiefs were facing the Cardinals last year. Andrew came down, and we and Eric, if you've watched our Mice and Men video, was with us. That was really fun.
Yeah, that was a really good time.
To see the Chiefs. There's no there was probably like a percentage wise, probably 0.5% Cardinals fans, and then like another 0.5 were the what are they called now? The Indian team. The
Redskins, the Commanders.
The Commanders. Yeah, they're the Redskins fans, and everyone else was a Chiefs fan.
Yep.
Literally everyone was a Chiefs fan.
There were like no Cardinals fans. I felt bad for the Cardinals.
I didn't.
They're not good. Yeah.
There's a Cardinals fan sitting behind us. I didn't realize we were talking shit the whole time.
Yeah.
I felt bad.
They're really nice though.
They were.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I guess like what I'm trying to say is when Stephen King talks about baseball, I have no fucking idea because the Royals ruined baseball for me. But I do find it interesting because I get to see the characters having fun. Because why Eddie's freaking out, going crazy over these baseball shit. The guys tried to talk to him, and Roland's in the back, and he's like, "People smoke this shit. This cigarette sucks." He's like, "What?"
Yeah, that was
flavor. It tastes like it. Yeah, he's like, it tastes like ass.
And then he rips the filter off, and he's like, "All right, now smoke it."
Yeah, that was just great. It's still, you could still tell Roland's not satisfied with, and I think that's really funny because I never liked cigarettes. I started with the vapes, and then I quit vaping, and then we went to flavored tobacco, and so you know about tobacco.
Yeah,
so
that's just way more fun.
Way more fun. The not only does it feel like it tastes better, but it feels like it's a lot fresher and whatnot. So it's like the flavored tobacco and like pipes is like where it's at, and you can use that to like roll up too. And so that's like what Roland's used to. He's like good at that good shit, and then I feel like it's like a commentary on how cigarettes are just absolute trash because it's just like a bunch of chemicals or mostly chemicals mixed in, and
yeah, dude,
tastes like shit, and it's really not good for you. But I just thought that was a funny comparison.
Yeah,
between like
that scene was hilarious.
Reminds me of George Orwell's 1984 when they like buy cigarettes but from the state, and it's like shitty rolled poor grade like smoke, and it's just. I just got a feeling. I feel like there's like a little social commentary there on like we could do so much better, because like and then they talked about how even like the hobbits like smoked tobacco, and it's like it's said to make them live longer, and that is not me saying you should go out there and smoke tobacco. I'll just say it's like a commentary on.
He had kind of a comedic moment there too, where like Roland was like, everybody knows that like smoking like cures your diseases or whatever, and then Eddie's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's so funny. Monday I'm gonna be 60 days without smoking or
Ooh.
drinking.
Woo-hoo.
So yeah, 62, a whole 2 months in a few days.
Nice. I don't think I've drank in. It's been at least 3 weeks.
That was kind of it.
Yeah.
That's good. Like it.